evening, Throttle Up Backer Bible Study. How we doing tonight?
Blessed.
What's today? Not a beautiful day? I tell you what.
Absolutely gorgeous.
We got a lot of stuff done around here today. Got my truck back. Got my lawnmower back. Got half the yard mowed. Beautiful day. Beautiful day. Hey, I just want to remind everybody, Sunday, that is May 1st. May 1st. That's this coming Sunday, 11 o'clock. We're going to have 12 men here from Recovery Soldiers Ministry out of Maryville. And I talked to the guy last night, and they're all excited about coming down. So it's going to be a good time. Y'all come on down and join us? Plus. Food! Afterwards, we're going to have a little picnic. So come on down. Come on down. Hey, we're in the book of Genesis if you're just joining us for the first time. And I encourage you to go back and watch all of them, even the one you can't hear. It's kind of fun to watch it without being able to hear it. But anyway, and then there's one you can't see, but you can hear. And that's two different things. But, the book of Genesis covers about 1,700 years from the creation of life through Noah all the way up to the birth of Moses. We've talked about that. And one of the things I said a couple of weeks ago is 25% of the book is about Joseph, one of the sons of Jacob, which is now known as Israel. And then right after the first week, we took a break from Joseph and talked about Joseph's brother Judah, right? And what a mess that all turned out to be, huh? Oh, I tell you, it's something else. So this week we're going to get back into the story of Joseph, and we're going to be in Genesis chapter 39, and we'll probably get through 39 and maybe even 40, we shall see. But just to give you a reminder of where Joseph is, Joseph ratted out his brothers for we don't know what, but we have to assume it was not working as they were supposed to, or not storing grain the way they were supposed to, or something. And we gave the old biker analogy to it, snitches get stitches and thrown in ditches, right? And that's exactly what happened. His brothers threw him in a pit. Now, Judah did not want to kill him, didn't want that blood on his hands, but he did sell him into slavery, right? And they sold him for 20, I can't remember the term I was looking for. Anyway, so I have to look at it real quick. 20 shekels of silver. Shekel is the word I was looking for. 20 shekels of silver is what you would get for a disabled slave. So they sold him to these Edomites, right, as they came through. I believe that's what they were called. And then the Edomites took him to Egypt. And that's the last we saw of Joseph, right? He's in Egypt while Judah and Tamar had their little encounter. If you don't know what that's about, you need to go back and watch last week, because it's amazing to find out that the lineage of Jesus goes through people with such trouble in their life. Let's just put it that way. But then again, I said, hey, we have trouble in our life, and he's here for us.
Amen.
So, praise God. That's the way it is. So, anyway, we're going to be in Genesis chapter 39 tonight. And let me go ahead and open us up in a word of prayer, and we shall get after it, okay? Heavenly Father, Lord God, thank you again for the beautiful day, Lord, for the fresh air, the warm sunshine, the beautiful flowers growing. Thanks for allowing Mom to see those again. Father, I just praise your name for being here with us, Lord. Come and join us, Lord, as we learn more about the history of the Jewish people, which does apply to our lives, Lord, and we'll see that as we get into the story of Joseph again tonight. Father, thank you again. Lord, I ask you to be with us. Lord, open our hearts, open our minds, Lord, so that we understand the truth and what the Word says. Father, I ask you to be with those that couldn't be here tonight, either for work or for pleasure or whatever reason, those that are sick especially. Keep your hands on them until you can get them back here. Father God, thank you. In Jesus' holy and precious name, amen. So I'm going to try to run this tonight. Nothing in the way of the computer. Should be. What'd you say? What'd you say? Okay. I thought she was talking to me. Anyway, so chapter 39, here we go. So now Joseph had been brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, the captain of the guard, an Egyptian, had bought him, from the Ishmaelites who had brought him down there. So here's this guy. He's the captain of the Pharaoh's guard, right? So he's a pretty prominent person in Egypt, right? He's up there in rank. So Pharaoh knows who he is, right? That's an important thing to point out. Pharaoh, the guardian, the one that they think has been appointed by their God, right, is the one that rules over everything. And here's this guy Potiphar. Now the name Potiphar may be his name or may just be his position, because we're going to see several times throughout the Old Testament the word Potiphar. Okay? So just know that it could, once again, just be a name or could be just his title. But watch what happens here in 2. The Lord was with Joseph. Well, you think? You know, because his family sure abandoned him, right? But here he is. He's down in Egypt. But the Lord is with Joseph, and he became a successful man, and he was in the house of his Egyptian master, who is, remember, Potiphar. We just said that, right? So he's in Potiphar's house. Everything's going good. Potiphar trusts him. You're going to find out here in a minute he trusts him so much that he doesn't worry about anything in his life except food on his table. Now, that's pretty good not to have to worry about anything, right? And that would be nice, I would think. But let's see what happens here. Verse 3. His master saw that the Lord, that would be the Hebrew God, was with him, right? Because it's definitely not one of the Egyptian gods. So his master saw the Lord was with him, and that the Lord caused all that he did to succeed by his hands. Okay, so he's pretty smart. He's sharp. He sees something's going on. This guy's got it going on, right? So Joseph found favor in his sight and attended him, and he made him overseer of his house and put him in charge of all that he had. Okay, so he's still his slave, but he's now been promoted to cover everything. We don't know how long that took. Okay? So if we go back a couple of chapters, we see he was 17 when he was sold into slavery. Okay? So that whole time that Judah and Tamar and all that mess happened, he was in Egypt as a slave. So we can probably guess it's at least 3, maybe 4 years. So he's probably in his early 20s, right? We don't know. It just says that it's probably that way, right? So Joseph had found favor in Potiphar's sight. Verse 5 then says, from the time that he made him overseer in his house and over all that he had, the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. The blessings of the Lord was on all that he had in the house and field. So Potiphar is receiving the blessings because of Joseph, and he sees it. He knows that it's nothing he's done. He knows it's nothing his God has done. He totally understands and believes that it is the Hebrew God over Joseph, right? Verse 6. So he left all that he had in Joseph's charge. We saw that a second ago as well. And because of him, he had no concern about anything but the food he ate. Now, let's step back in time and let's look at this. This is a time where murder, even by a family member, was rampant. So everyone of importance had taste testers or special chefs or certain people that they trusted to bring them food, right? So this just said he gave Joseph control of everything, didn't worry about anything except the food he ate. How many of them taters did you eat, Caesar? I ate 2, Brute, right? And we're gonna that's way on down the line, right? But here we go, right? So that was verse 6, right? Verse 7, and Sabrina's not here tonight to keep up with my screen, so I'm trying. Verse 7, yep. So, and after a time, now Joseph was, I'm sorry, I missed something in 6. I apologize. See, I need her here to tell me this. So he left all that he had in Joseph's charge, and because of him, he had no concern about anything but the food he ate. Now Joseph was handsome in form and appearance. Okay, so he's a good-looking guy, right? We're okay with that, right? What's King James say?
King James said after the word he said, and Joseph was a godly person and well favored.
And Joseph was a godly person and well favored. Okay. There's nothing. I mean, so this one says handsome in form and appearance can be that well favored part, right? The godly part, though,
Kind of a rocky little difference right there.
It's leaves contradictory.
No.
It's I'll have to look that up and see what it actually says in Hebrew. So what my brothers are talking about in the King James and in probably in the New King James. New King James says what my ESV says.
New International says now Joseph is well.
Okay, so I'll have to research what the words actually are there. Good point there, brother. Good point. All right, so verse 7. And after a time, his master's wife, cast her eyes on Joseph and said, "Hey, baby, lie with me." Okay, wait. So here's this. Let's put it like it is. Here's this slave of her husband's, and she thinks she has rule over him as well, and she likes the way he looks. So come lie with me. Come be with me. Right? Now, here's a couple things we don't know, but we can infer by what happens a little bit later. This probably is not the first time she's done that.
I'd say not.
Right? And Potiphar probably wants to not believe it to be true, but I'm going to post to you a little bit later that I think he does know. Okay? So let's watch what happens here. So verse 8. Verse 8 says, but he, that's Joseph, he refused and said to his master's wife, behold, because of me, my master has no concern about anything in the house, and he has put everything that he has in my charge. Right? We're good with that? So he's like, no, lady, I'm important here. I need to stay focused on my job. Now, here comes the question I'm going to pose to you. Don't answer. But in a situation like this, where this rich person is coming on to you, where are you going to stand?
Or someone that could possibly have you in prison just by words.
Or can have you in prison just by words, which we'll find out in a minute is exactly what's going to happen. Yep. So verse 9 then says, he is not greater in the house than I am, nor has he kept back anything from me except yourself, because you are his wife. How can I do this great wickedness and sin against Potiphar? No, that's not what it says, is it? No. Joseph knows that it would be a sin against God, because that's not what he's supposed to be there for, right? Okay, so here's the thing again, right? This is an opportunity. You know, we don't know what this woman looks like, right? She could be an absolute 10, and she could be absolute negative 10. We don't know, right? I'm just saying that Joseph is smart, and he says, no, that would not be good, because that would be against the will of God. Now, let me tell you what I told Sabrina earlier today. Other than Jesus and probably Mary, there are only two humans mentioned in the Bible that have nothing negative ever said about them. Let me rephrase that. There are two people, other than Jesus and probably Mary, that don't have a negative thing written about them in the entire book of the Bible. That includes all of his disciples, something negative against them. That includes Moses, Abraham. The only two people are Joseph and Elijah. And we'll see that as we get on further in the Old Testament. So here's a thing, right? So Joseph could have, taken that broken road real easy, right? Nobody around. What we'll see here in a minute, there's nobody around when she tries it again, okay? So let's just go on to that right now. Let's go to verse 10. Verse 10 then says this, and as she spoke to Joseph, day after day, he would not listen to her, to lie beside her, or to be with her. Smart dude. She just kept after him. How many times is she going to get told no before that woman scorn thing comes up, right? Okay, here we go. Look at verse 11. Turn my page here. Verse 11. But one day, when he went into the house to do his work, and none of the men of the house were there in the house. Stop. Go back to those last multitude of times that she tried this. There was somebody else in the house who would have seen. So here, now Joseph is with her in the house alone. Nobody will ever know. He could get away with this real easy, except for one thing. Joseph has God in his life. You have to understand how important that is. So he said, there's nobody else in the house. Verse 12. She caught him by the garment and said, lie with me. I can almost hear her yelling at him, right? Right? Lie with me. But he left his garment in her hand and fled and got out of the house. So he went streaking down the road, right? Now, that's not in there. That's the image I have, right? It's his cloak, right? That's the outside garment. He probably still has other things on, right? But that cloak, that thing that identifies him of who he is, she has it in her hand. She almost had him. And every time I think of she almost had him, I think of the Wicked Witch from H.R. Pufnstuf, right? Right? She almost had that flute every time, right? Almost. But no, all she got was his old garment, because it wasn't the coat of many colors. That one's already destroyed, right? So verse 13. 13 says, and as soon as she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and fled out of the house, 14, she called to the men of her household who were not in there, right? And said to them, see, he, Potiphar, has brought among us a Hebrew to laugh at us. He came in to try to lie with me, and I cried out with a loud voice. Where did she cry out with a loud voice? Anything other than lie with me? No, that's a little false witness right there, ain't it? Amen. How many times in the news today, different subject, do we see all of these false accusations because someone didn't get things done the way they wanted? Let's see. There's a famous trial going on right now about an actor, and yeah. So I didn't want to say names, but yeah, there's public knowledge. Yeah, that's just look it up in the news, right? I don't encourage you to watch the news anymore, but you know what I mean. So verse 15, and as soon as he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried out, he left his garment beside me. Not true, because she grabbed it off of him, right? And fled and got out of the house. Right? 16. Then she laid up his garment by her until his master came home. Uh-oh. See, now the plot's going to thicken, because now others know that he was in there alone with her. Even though he didn't do anything, she's going to say, look what that slave of yours did. Watch what happens. 17. And she told him, Potiphar, the same story, saying, that Hebrew servant whom you have brought among us came in to me to laugh at me. Ooh, that's not true at all. But as soon as I lifted up my voice and cried out, he left his garment beside me and fled out of the house. So guys, I want to say one thing to you. If you are ever in a situation where you're in a room with someone other than your significant other, don't be in a closed room alone with no windows, no lights, no doors, right? This is the kind of thing that happens all the time. Ladies, I warn you, don't get into elevators with strange men. right? Things can happen, right?
Take your clothes.
Yeah, don't leave
Don't leave nothing behind.
take your clothes with you. Right? 19. Is that where I'm at?
Yeah.
But as soon as I lifted up my voice and cried, okay, 19. As soon as his master heard the words, his wife spoke to him, "This is the way your servant treated me." His anger was kindled. Let me ask you a question. I want you to focus right here. At whom was he angry? Was he angry at Joseph because his wife said, "Look what he tried to do"? Or was he angry at his wife for trying again to do what he knows that she's been doing? It doesn't say, right?
There's a third. Was he angry at himself for putting somebody in that position? Possibly?
Good point. My brother said, or was he mad at himself for allowing that situation to be put forth? Okay. So here we go. Verse 20. This is the way the hang goes. And Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, the place where the king's prisoners were confined, and he was there in prison. Stop. History lesson of the Egyptian people of that time. If I accuse you of trying to sleep with my wife, I have the right to have you killed. Oh, by the way, that's what they should have done. But instead, they put him in not maximum security prison, not even minimum security prison, but political prison. Notice how it says where the king's prisoners would go. Those are the ones that are not violent. They're not anything but basically lounging around because they have to be on house arrest. Now, those are my words, right? But that's from what I've done the research on. That's basically what that was, right? Right? It wasn't even county jail or federal prison, right? It's just that broom closet off at the end of the house. All right? Now, watch. Because this really starts to turn here real quick. But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him steadfast love and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. Right? Prison guard saw that Joseph, hey, he's an okay guy, right? How long does it take Joseph to get there? We don't know. But just like in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, they found favor in the tall, thin guy. I can't think of his name. Anyway, so you get the idea, right? Joseph, he's smooth, right? And everybody notices something about him. What is it that they notice, even if they don't know what it is? They notice that God is upon him. So, not that you would ever go back to prison. I'm just saying, would they know that God was with you? Right? Think about this. Paul, in the New Testament, in prison, the walls start to shake, the doors rattle open, and the guard comes running, knowing if the prisoners are gone, he's dead. And where's Paul and them sitting? Right where they were supposed to be. Because they had God with them. God could have let them out no matter what, right? But instead, he wanted them to show that prison guard mercy. Because that prison guard would have been put to death if Paul was gone. So back to here. So here's Joseph now in the king's prison. This nice, comfy place. Now, I'm not going to say comfy. That's not what it says. Let's just call it the king's prison. 22. And the keeper of the prison put Joseph in charge of all the prisoners who were in the prison. Whatever was done there, he was the one who did it. So Joseph is to make sure everybody gets what they need. Everybody does the work they're supposed to do. If they're working on the chain gang, whatever it is, right? We don't know. It doesn't say. But whatever needed to be done, the guard knew Joseph would get it done. Joseph seems pretty cool, don't he? He really, really does. Let's look at this verse 23. 23 then says this. The keeper of the prison paid no attention. Potiphar paid no attention either. And look what happened. Yeah, nothing Joseph did, but someone else did, right? So the keeper of the prison paid no attention to anything that was in Joseph's charge because the Lord was with him whatever he did, the Lord made it succeed. Okay? So the Potiphar knows, Pharaoh's gonna know, Joseph is okay. Whatever he does, God blesses. Look at how our lands are growing, our cattle. I'm foretelling something here. Our cattle grow, we have all this extra stuff coming in. Everything goes good because of Joseph, who is still, I'm just pointing at Joseph, Mama, not you. So everything that happens is because of Joseph. They think, but we know it's because God is blessing Joseph so that he gets the recognition for it, right? Because something very important is about to happen. So that's 39. Now we could stop there, but this was kind of short, so let's go on and let's do chapter 40, okay? Now, we will see Potiphar's wife again, okay? And we even, Josephus, the Hebrew historian from around the 1st century, even tells you a name that they called her, but we can't find any documentation that backs that up other than what he had, okay? So here's an interesting thing. Do you know how many paintings of the scene of Potiphar's wife and Joseph have been painted? I stopped counting at 30 just by doing an image search of Potiphar's wife. And it's usually her lying in bed, holding on to his cloak as he's trying to run out the door. Sometimes she's got clothes on, sometimes she don't. Those are famous paintings, Potiphar's wife. Okay? So you'd think we'd see her again right away, right? Watch this. But here's Joseph. Now, Joseph is in the prison because of what she did. Chapter 40, verse 1 says this. Sometime after this, again, we don't know how long he's in this prison. We don't know how long anything's going on, but some historians seem to think he's probably getting close to about 30 now. And that's just a guess, right? So sometime after this, the cupbearer of the king of Egypt and his baker committed an offense against their lord, the king of Egypt. Remember, the Pharaoh had a chief of the guard named Potiphar, could be a title, and the only thing that Potiphar was concerned about was the food he ate. This just called out two people that have to do something with food, the cupbearer and the chief baker. It's not the baker, it's not the, how's it go? Butcher, the baker, the candle, right. So it's the cupbearer and the chief baker. But we don't know what they did. It doesn't tell us. It's just something against Pharaoh, right? Did that go to 2? Yes, good. All right. 2 then says this, and Pharaoh was angry with his 2 officers, the chief cupbearer and the chief baker. Again, we don't know what it is. And he put them in custody in the house of the captain of the guard in the prison where Joseph was confined. Remember a few minutes ago I said that the Pharaoh's prison was like this cushy place where only political kind of prisoners go? Well, here's 2 more that get shoved in there, right? So here we go. So verse 4. Verse 4 then says, the captain of the guard appointed Joseph to be with them, and he attended them. They continued for some time in custody. Once again, we don't know how long. Could be a day, a month, a week, a year, 10 years. We don't know, right? Watch what happens. And then verse 5, and one night they both dreamed. That's the cupbearer and the baker, right? They both dreamed. The cupbearer and the baker of the king of Egypt, who were confined in the prison. Each his own dream, and each with its own interpretation. You ever have dreams that you can remember? Yeah, I do too. I actually have night terrors, and if you ever study what that is, I'll be wide awake, eyes open, and can converse with you and have no idea what's real and what's not. Scary, isn't it? The Star Trek Next Generation did a story on that. It's called Night Terrors. You can't move? I worked with a lady whose husband had them, and it was the violent kind. They were out on a yacht, and he had one. He threw her overboard. The closest I ever came, there was a ceiling fan, and it was moving real slow because the fan was blowing on it. It was in the room. I thought it was a ninja fixing to drop down on my wife, so I shoved her out of bed. That was the closest I ever got to being violent. But I've chased birds and yelled at dogs and had conversations. And now I will state this publicly. I was being investigated for a security clearance at one time, and I was so nervous about that because I really wanted that position. And I woke up and there was a man standing at the foot of my bed with a clipboard, writing stuff down. So I got up, loaded a pistol, and chased him out of the house. Of course, when I got to the front door, there was nobody there. That could have been really bad. That could have been really bad. Now let's go on, right? So here we are, verse 5. And one night they dreamed, and the dreams had its own interpretation. Verse 6. When Joseph came to them in the morning, he saw that they were troubled. Yeah, they probably had some kind of dream that upset them, right? Verse 7. 7 says, so he asked Pharaoh's officers, the baker and the cupbearer, who were with him in custody of his master's house, why are your faces downcast today? Why are you so downhearted today? And they said to him, we have had dreams, and there is no one to interpret them. I love Joseph's response here. Check this out. And Joseph said to them, do not interpretations belong to God? Even if they do, or even if only he can interpret what they actually mean, this last line kills me. Please tell them to me. Okay, now Joseph knows that he's with God. Everybody else knows that God's with him. These guys don't know him. So he's like, only God can tell you what it is, so tell me. That almost sounds like another setup to me, right? So verse 9 says, so the chief cupbearer told his dream to Joseph and said to him, in my dream there was a vine before me. And on the vine there were 3 branches. As soon as it budded, it blossoms and shot forth, and the clusters ripened into grapes. So he's dreaming of this vine that's in front of him. It splits into 3, buds and drops grapes right there, right? So it's obviously a grapevine, right? Not the city in Texas. I'm just saying it's just grapevine, right? Okay, that one went over, didn't go over too well. So here we go. So verse 11, Pharaoh's cup was in my hand. Oh, look, he's the chief cupbearer, and now he's got a cup in his hand, and it belonged to Pharaoh. Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes and pressed them, just like grape, right? Pharaoh's cup, and placed the cup in Pharaoh's hand. Hey, that's the job he used to have anyway. Then Joseph said to him, this is its interpretation. The 3 branches are 3 days. Okay, I don't get that, but then again, I'm not a dream interpreter, right? I'm not. But watch what happens in 13. In 3 days, Pharaoh will lift up your head and restore you to your office, and you shall place Pharaoh's cup in his hand as formerly when you were the cupbearer. So that means you're going to be forgiven, and you're going to go back to your old job, right? So whatever the offense was against Pharaoh couldn't have been that bad, because he didn't put him to death. He put him in the cushy prison, and now he has a dream that Joseph says, you're going to go back to work. Okay, let's see if that happens. 14. So 14 says, only remember me, Joseph, the little guy that interprets your dream, right? When it is well with you, and please do me the kindness to mention me to Pharaoh, who probably already knows who he is, right? And so get me out of this house. 15. For I was indeed stolen out of the land of the Hebrews, and here also I have done nothing that they should put me into the pit. And also I have done nothing that they should put me into the pit. Now, the question is Joseph remembering the pit that his brothers threw him in?
Yeah, mine does too.
Okay. That's the other part. Or is he talking about the pit of despair? Right? Right? He's in the dungeon. He's in a prison. Well, wait a minute. This is that cushy prison. Right? Well, it's still a prison. You're in prison whether it's a 5-star hotel that you can't get out of, or in prison in your own mind? Ooh, that's going to hit somebody, isn't it? When you're in prison by your own mind, like some of the people we know sitting real close to me, that's a terrible thing, right? So here we go, 16. So whenever you get your cushy job back, and you're the cupbearer again for the Pharaoh, and it suits you, remind him of who I am, because I really shouldn't be here. They had no witnesses against me except that woman who had probably an ill repute anyway, right? So here we go. Where are we? So I've done it in pit 16. When the chief baker saw the interpretation was favorable, he said to Joseph, Joseph, I had a dream. I also had a dream. And there were 3 cake baskets in my hand. On my hand, it says in mine. I thought it was in my hand, but on my hand. Okay. So on my hand, there's 3 cake baskets. And in the uppermost basket, there were all sorts of baked food for Pharaoh. Food! Here we go again, right? One of the favorite subjects. All this baked food for Pharaoh. I'm slobbering now. I'm thinking, donuts and crumpets and all that good stuff, right? So, but the birds were eating it out of the baskets on my head. Okay, were the baskets on his head? Was he carrying him Egyptian style, or was it? Okay, so that's what we think, right? At least that's what most of the people think, right? So 18 then says this, and Joseph answered and said, this is its interpretation. Ready? Check this out. Check this out. Here's what this one means, right? Here, this is what it means. The 3 baskets are 3 days, right? 3 vines, 3 days. 3 baskets, 3 days. 19. Uh-oh. He's swinging for the fences, but in 3 days, Pharaoh will lift up your head from you and hang you on a tree. And the birds will eat the flesh from you. Okay, wait a minute. That's not anywhere like the cupbearer. Cupbearer going to get his job back. He's going to get promoted. He's going to hand the cup back to Pharaoh. Everything's going to be, and you're going to tell me the birds are going to eat my skin because they're going to hang me up from a tree. The baker probably did, right? At 2 brew headache. Remember I said that earlier, right? So here we go.
I did it with it.
20. On the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday. And why'd they point that out? There is actually a reason to point that out. I'll bring it up in a minute. He made a feast for all his servants, and he lifted up the head of the chief cupbearer and the head of the chief baker among his servants. Hey, you two. I've let you out of prison now. Come on over here. Let me exalt you. Let me lift your head up. Let me talk above all of the others about you too. Right? Uh-oh. 21. He restored the chief cupbearer to his position, and he placed the cup in the Pharaoh's hand. Hey. Now, a lot of people say, yeah, it was, 50-50 chance of that, right? Yeah, 50-50 chance, but only 20% of it chance of getting right. Anyway, so here we go. So he restored him, and he put the thing into Pharaoh's hand. So he got his job back. He got his life back. He got out of prison. He's making his way in a world today. Takes more than everything you got. You're right. There we go. So, sorry, I get distracted easily. But he hanged the chief baker, as Joseph had interpreted to them. Did Joseph tell Pharaoh the dreams? No. No one told Pharaoh. Joseph was being told by God what was fixing to happen. Here's how I know. 23. Yet the chief cupbearer did not remember Joseph, but forgot him. Once again, they're Egyptian. They don't think about God, right? So here's the thing, right? If you ever get put in prison, be nice. Try to help out the best you can, right? Don't snitch. We know that, right? We know that, right? And if someone tries to interpret your dream, if you're not a godly person, run. Just run away, right? Look. So here's two stories about Joseph that even though he got put away and put down, he still succeeded. He got put away, he got put down, he still succeeded. And now he's interpreting dreams. What started all of this with Joseph? Remember back when he snitched on his brothers? He had this dream, and he said, your sheaves are going to bow to my sheaves. And then he told his dad, and your star is going to bow to my star. Now he's interpreting somebody else's dreams. You're going to do fine, and you're going to hang from a tree. Right? Hey, Joseph, maybe you want to tone that down a little bit. No, he's doing what God is telling him. That's the whole thing, right? So the last chapter, 38, we saw how not godly Judah was, and Tamar was even worse, right? And now we're seeing how godly Joseph is, but he's the one that keeps getting put farther and farther down. But still succeeds. Everything he touches, now it doesn't turn to gold. It's not King Midas, right? Everything he touches works because he's a godly man. Remember I said nothing is ever negatively said about Joseph? Yes.
But it does turn to gold.
And in the end, he's right. It does turn to gold in the end. Gold? Okay, I'm starting to have problems speaking now. So
Not speaking very plain.
I'm not speaking very plainly. So there you go. There's 2 chapters about Joseph, right? And you'd think, wow, that's pretty cool. Now, does he get out of prison and go on? No.
It gets wild.
It gets wild over the next chapter. So we're going to stop right there for the night, okay? I encourage you to read on so that you're not so surprised in what happens to Joseph next.
It will amaze you. You will laugh. You'll find times that you actually want to tear up and times that you actually just want to lay the Bible down and sit back and say, that really happened?
Best soap opera ever written.
You got it.
And it's true. It's one of them true ones. Not many of them can say that. Okay? Questions? Comments? Accusations? Just
Innuendo?
or out the window, out the door, whichever way it works, right? All right, then I'm going to go ahead and turn off the camera. We're going to do our personal and private prayer request. Before we do that, I want to remind you, Sunday morning at 11 a.m., we have the men's group from Recovery Soldiers Maryville coming in here. Got a call from them last night. There's 12 of them coming. So we need to have as many people here as we can get, right?
We want to pack this place.
We're going to pack this place. And guess what we're going to do afterwards? We're going to eat. That's right. So, hamburgers, hot dogs, the standards, stuff that we do here. We got people bringing desserts. We got people bringing sides. Everything's going to be provided. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Good, right?
Eating good
Now,
in the neighborhood.
Now, that's this Sunday at 11 a.m. Sunday at 4 p.m., we also have our Recovery Beginnings. There's some great things fixing to happen there as well. This little place is growing. People, I'm telling you, because we're sticking to what God has told us to do, He is blessing us beyond anything you can imagine. Anything you can imagine, right? We just have to stay, what's the word, fervent? Where you vigilant. That's the word I was looking for. I couldn't think of it. Right? So stay vigilant in our quest, not the galaxy quest, but the quest in finding the truth in what the Word says. So here, like I said, we're doing the Old Testament, but we can apply it to our lives today. How? 1, guys, don't be left with Potiphar's wife alone. Right?
No matter who Potiphar is.
No matter what pot the fur is in, right?
That's right.
So we that came out wrong, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway, so and also if you are incarcerated for something you didn't do, right? Just keep your nose to the grindstone and keep doing what you do for God, because He'll bless you no matter what you're doing.
Even if you're incarcerated for something you did do.
Even if you're incarcerated for something you did do, and I'm not pointing at you for any reason other than you are telling me something that I understand. But what I was going to say was, even if you're incarcerated for what you did or did not do, and you do well, people will have problems with you, but God knows. Did you hear what I said? God knows. Wow, so much to do, so much to do. All right, guys, we shall see you. If not before next Wednesday, then we'll see you when we see you.